What's up everybody, Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax with a quick look at some of my favorite players on my top 150 Bowman Chrome Autos under $50 list. This is a list I update about 2 times per year over on my Patreon page, so if you guys want to take a look at all 150 prospects that I have on this list, you can find a link to that in the video description. In this video, I'm going to be covering 10 guys, and I have a lot of guys on this list that I really like and really wanted to get on here, but I just kind of picked 10 that I do like for different reasons. Some guys who are closer to $50, some guys who are very cheap as well. But like I said, if you want to catch the full list of the 150 players that I have, you can find that on my Patreon page. Before we get into the top 10 though, I want to take a look at the ranking systems. You can see I've got a Juggernaut rank on here, an LTWR, which is Let's Talk Wax rank, and I'm going to cover those quickly so to avoid any confusion for some new viewers. All right, so here are my 2 ranking systems. I've got a Juggernaut ranking system, which I update about monthly once the season starts, and that's also located on my Patreon page. It's rankings for every prospect in minor league baseball. So there's about, I think there are about 1,032 prospects that I ranked last year based on the stats you can see here. On the left, there's different weights to those stats, but I think it's a pretty good formula. It's not 100% accurate, but it's a pretty cool way to find some new guys that may have some sneaky hidden stats like swing strike percentage, guys that have really good approaches, things like that that kind of get overlooked by mainstream top 100s, but you can find that stuff on my Patreon page as well. I got a Let's Talk Wax ranking, and this is just based on my opinion. As I mentioned before, the Juggernaut is based on stats only, not my opinion, but the Let's Talk Wax rank, I do include, it is basically my opinion, and it goes from elite to 7. There are not a whole lot of elite players. Some of the elite players of the past have been like Jackson Trio, Ellie De La Cruz, and Jackson Holiday. I don't think I have any of all my Bowman Chrome autograph checklist breakdowns over on Patreon. I don't think I have any elite players as of right now that are still in minor league baseball, so you don't see a lot of those pop up very often. These are basically ceilings, so if a prospect performs at his ultimate absolute best going into his career, these are the results. You get MLB Superstar, Organizational Star, and you can see the rest below. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here going over rankings because I know that's not why y'all are here. All right, so we're going to kick this thing off with Edgar Quiero, and this is a prospect that I've liked for a really long time. His autos were around $5 for a very long time. I liked him a lot then, but he's a really good bat. He's got enough skills behind the plate to stick back there. There's been seasons where he's hit for a lot of power, and there's been seasons where he kind of didn't. I think in 2023 was his lowest power output, but in 2022 and 2024 he did hit quite a few home runs, and it juiced up his ISO quite a bit. He's always been a very consistent contact bat with low strikeout rates, as you can see here with the 17.4 K percentage, but a pretty solid bat. I think I would say a very high floor bat with the possibility of a higher ceiling with the power, depending on how much he would get to at the major league level. But he's been in the upper minors for years. He's always played young for his level. He's never really had it easy at any level age-wise, and that's something that I consider with a lot of these prospects, his age level. I take that into consideration with my Juggernaut rankings as well. You can see career here, he's hit 280 with a 172 ISO and a sub 20K percentage. So all really good numbers, and his cards are actually around $15 right now. He's organizationally ranked at number 6. He's a Juggernaut ranking of 23, so one of the highest Juggernaut ranks on this list, and that's 23 out of all minor league prospects based on those stats that I choose and weigh. Let's Talk Wax is 2.5, and as I mentioned before, his cards are around $15. The only problem with Quiero is the trade to the Chicago White Sox and Kyle Teel also being traded to the Chicago White Sox that presents them with a bit of a problem with 2 really good catchers and how Quiero is going to fit into the lineup at the major league level. So we'll see what pans out. There's a very good chance he could get a promotion to the major leagues in 2025, and that's why I put a few of these guys on here as well, because of their proximity to the major leagues. I put some guys on here who are very young, a little bit more risky, but have higher ceilings. But you'll see, like I said, it was hard for me to pick just 10 guys off this list because I like almost all the 2.5s and the 2s on my 150 list. So Sal Stewart, I threw in there at number 9, another guy that I've liked for a really, really long time. He's got excellent plate discipline, a 14.8% walk rate, which is really, really good in today's minor league game. a 16.9 K percentage in 2024. Now, before I go any further, I do forget to do this a lot. Their age is the age right now, and the stats are from 2024. So make sure you guys understand that Sal Stewart was not 21.2 playing in high A last year. He was probably right around 20.3 or 20.4 to start the season. He's 21.2 right now, and I'm sure he'll be starting off in Double A, so he will be age appropriate. But these are 2024 stats. The minor league season for Double A, High A, and Single A starts this coming Friday, I believe. Triple A has already kind of gotten underway, but I wanted to throw that out there. But Sal Stewart, he's a really good, a very high floor bat. His card prices they were right around $15. I think he was pretty cheap on release. They kind of went up and down, but now they're back up to around $25, which is a pretty fair price. Organizationally, he's the top ranked hitter on MLB.com in the organization. The only two guys above him are both pitchers. So the top bat, according to MLB.com, in the Cincinnati Reds organization. On the Juggernaut ranks, he was number 30, and his defense is actually kind of panning out better than I thought it would. That was one problem that I saw with Sal Stewart, where he fit defensively, but he's playing a lot of second base and third base, and he could have enough bat to stick there with the numbers he's been putting up recently. So hopefully he can have a good year in Double A this year. Now we're going to go into some very young prospects. Their prices are still pretty high because of the numbers they've been putting out, but there's still quite a bit of risk here. I would say especially with Calais and Jeremy Rodriguez. Eduardo Tayit, I feel like he could be a bit of a higher floor bat because of his contact skills. But Jeremy Rodriguez, 18.7 right now. He played in the Complex League in 2024. And for anyone who doesn't watch a lot of my content or are first-time viewers, I always advise highly to tread lightly on Dominican Summer League stats and Complex League stats. Usually players get tested pretty well in low A and high A, and I don't get very big on players until they reach those levels. So understand that like Jeremy Rodriguez, Eduardo Tayit, and Robert Calais are all still pretty high risk players because they don't have a lot of experience in the upper minors. I've seen players crush the Dominican Summer League, crush the Complex League, and fall flat on their face for a season or two in low A and really bad in high A, but I'm not saying that's a guarantee. It's just something to be aware of when you're doing, when you kind of dive head into prospecting. There's a lot of corks in prospecting, but right now, because of these three ceiling, their cards are still pretty expensive. I'm going to go with Jeremy Rodriguez, probably the highest ceiling of any of these three guys right here between him, Tayit, and Calais. I think Calais, would probably be second in ceiling, but Tayit would definitely be highest in floor. Rodriguez hit 282 with a 118 ISO. Not a lot of power yet, but I do think there could be some power here that develops as he starts to fill out his body. He's a big, long, lanky kid, and he's not even turned 19 yet, so he's got the speed, could be a speed power look. He's got really good K numbers. I would love to see the walk rate increase to above 10, but 9.7 is pretty dang close. So I can live with that. His career numbers are pretty solid as well. 287 career batting average with a 144 ISO and a sub 20 K percentage. He's number 12 in the Mets organization according to MLB.com. On the Juggernaut this past season, he finished at 85 among all minor league prospects. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2 due to his ceiling, and his cards are pretty expensive. They're right around the $50 line. And like I said, there's still a lot of risk here, but he's also got a very high ceiling as a young player. Eduardo Tayit, like I said, he's a very contact-oriented bat that's running into some power. He posted a 184 ISO, and he's hit above 300 for his entire career. He's got great K numbers, a sub 20 K percentage, 19.6. And you'll notice with Tayit, the walk rate is kind of low, but if you track a lot of very skilled contact-oriented bats, their walk rates are very low. You can see here, like we'll get the Chandler Simpson in a little bit. His walk rate's like 8.7, and he's got a 326 career batting average in the minor leagues. So sometimes the walk rate is skewed by guys who are really good at making contact. So if you make a lot of contact, it's hard to walk. It doesn't really necessarily mean that they've got bad plate discipline. It just means that they're making a lot of contact. When they swing, they don't swing and miss much. He is number 4 in the Phillies organization. He was a 110 in the Juggernaut. Let's Talk Wax rank of 2, and his cards are right around $50 as well. Robert Calais, 19.3, played between the Complex League and Low A. He's put up video game numbers pretty much since he was signed by the Rockies. I think it was in 2023, but he's a 336 career hitter with a 267 ISO, had 12 jacks and 15 stolen bases in 2024 and only 267 plate appearances. Organizationally, he's number 4. He's 11. He finished in 11th place in the Juggernaut, 11th among all minor league players. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2, and his cards are still pretty cheap at $30. But like I said, there's still some risk here. He's got not a lot of data in the upper minors, and he plays for a very bad team as far as developing prospects go. Rockies players don't really command a whole lot of value. Now that may change in the future, you know, but right now Rockies players do not command a ton of a very high demand price-wise. So those are some things to consider with Calais, but like I said, he has put up video game numbers throughout his career. Now we're going to jump into our top 5. Before we jump into our top 5, I want to take a minute to shout out all my Patreon subscribers. I think we're up to over 1,100 members over there, free and subscribed. If you guys do subscribe for the $5 tier, you get access to a ton of my data, including first Chrome and first autograph checklist breakdowns all the way back to 2020. I've just finalized all of those going into the 2025 season. They're updated from all the stats in 2024. I've got team break guides for every release since 2020. Of course, I mentioned my Juggernaut prospect rankings over there have been finalized as well, and I'll update those next month once minor league baseball starts, and I'll continue to update them monthly. Of course, you can get my top 150 Bowman Chrome autos under $50 list. These are just a couple of players from that list, but there's a ton over there, a ton of great value if you guys try to prospect on a budget. There's a lot of choices for you to choose from on that list. I have a top 100 Bowman Chrome autos list that hasn't been updated in a while. I'm kind of thinking of getting rid of that list. There's so many mainstream top 100s that mine kind of becomes just lost in the chaos, or not chaos, but lost in the wave of top 100 lists out there, and it doesn't really feel like a need to do that. We do have a private Discord server though with over 400 active members, a lot of very resourceful members in that. If you guys want to check out my Patreon page, I'll put a link to it in the video description, and a huge shout out to everyone who's already subscribed over there. That's going to bring us to our top 5. We're going to lead off with an oldie, kind of a sleeper guy that not a whole lot of people, if you're kind of new in the prospecting game, his cards were all the way back in 2021 Bowman Chrome. We've got Jefferson Quiero, who was injured for the entire 2024 season. I think he only had 6 plate appearances, and he's been a really good bat throughout his career. 278 batting average, with a 167 ISO and a sub 20 K percentage. He's 22.6 years old. He is number 1 in the organizational ranks based on MLB.com in the Milwaukee Brewers organization. Of course, he didn't qualify for the Juggernaut rankings because he did not play last year, which is why he was probably overlooked, and he's also in a very old release. His cards are around $25, and I do think there's a lot of upside. He hit 262 with 16 home runs in 2023, and he does have enough skills to stick behind the plate. So a guy I definitely wanted to shout out on this list. If you're new, you probably may have never heard of Jefferson Quiero, but definitely a guy to check out. Chandler Simpson, I never do content on players over the age of 24. This is the first time I've put a player over the age of 24 in any of my content in probably 3 or 4 years. I stopped doing that just because it was so hard to keep up with the prospects under 24, let alone all the guys that have aged out. I call it the age chopping block. But Chandler Simpson could be such an exciting player. He had 104 stolen bases last year, led all of minor league baseball. He's got an elite hit tool. The only problem is there's no power whatsoever, but definitely an exciting player that I wanted to get on this list. His cards have kind of, they were $5 autos at one time. They kind of jumped up a little bit last year, like 15, and now everybody's starting to be like, man, when's Chandler Simpson going to get a shot at the major league level? The Tampa Bay Rays system is a tough one to crack and stay in once you do get called up, because they are very competitive, but his cards are right around $25 right now, and I think he could be a very, very exciting player at the MLB level, even though he doesn't hit any home runs. So he's number 7 in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. He was number 70 on the Juggernaut, and I've got him in a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2. Luke Kershaw, Minnesota Twins, he's basically a utility guy at this point, can play anywhere but catcher and pitcher, and probably shortstop, but 22.7 between high A and double A last year, hit 303 with a 180 ISO, 15 homers, 23 stolen bases, excellent walk rates, excellent K rates, career 300 hitter. In his MLB rankings, he's number 3 in the Minnesota Twins organization. He was number 5 on the Juggernaut rankings in 2024, the highest ranking prospect on this list. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2. Really had a breakout year in 2024, and his cards are right around $35. I think they've actually come down a little bit from, I think they're around $40 to $45 when he was going off last year, and I think they've dropped obviously because of the offseason, but I would expect those to pick back up. He's going to start the 2025 season in Triple-A. Moises Ballesteros, another huge bat who was once a $5 auto as well. I've been talking about guys like Moises Ballesteros, Edgar Quero, Sal Stewart, I feel like for a long time since they've been $5 autos. And if you guys were buying these cards when they were $5 or buying some low-numbered refractors and graded cards, you could probably offload them right now for a lot more than you bought in. But I do still think there could be more room for Ballesteros just based off the impact bat that he could be. 19 home runs last year, hit 289 as well. He's got a pretty good walk rate, an 18.3 K percentage, so everything's solid across the board. The only problem with Ballesteros is the defensive upside is not huge. He could probably stick behind the plate or play first base, but he's not going to go out there and play center field or shortstop. The defense is going to be a little bit limited, but he is going to make a roster based on his bat. Kind of, I wouldn't say as good as Dalton Rushing, but kind of a similar situation to Dalton Rushing where, you know, how do we get his bat into the lineup? Being somewhat limited defensively. Rushing may be even better than him behind the plate, but I think he's getting some reps in left field. So he's going to start 2025 season in AAA as well. So 3 guys on here that could possibly make their MLB debut, maybe even 4 with Quero, but Simpson, Keyshaw, and Ballesteros for sure, and even Jet Williams as well could make his MLB debut in 2025. He's my number 1 spot. He was injured for the majority of the 2024 season. He came back late in the year, started in high A, double A, and moved up to AAA finally. Didn't really get going in 148 plate appearances, but I do think there's a lot of talent here. I wanted to put Johnny Farmello on this list. It's so bad, but if you guys watch a lot of my content, you know how I feel about Farmello and injuries that kind of keep players on the back burner, you know, like Jefferson Quero, Johnny Farmello, Jet Williams. These guys were pretty much hurt the entire 2024 season, so they kind of get overlooked and forgotten whether they're talented or not, and then they kind of come back. If you think of a guy like Royce Lewis, who was hurt for pretty much his entire minor league career, and, you know, now he's doing some pretty good things at the major league level. So always consider guys that are injured and don't just throw them on the back burner. He's at MLB organization. Organizationally, he is number 2 behind, I think, Brandon Sproat in the New York Mets organization. So he's the top ranked bat. He didn't qualify for Juggernaut rankings. I think I cut those off at 150 based on the injury, and his cards are around $40 right now. I did sell a bunch of Jet Williams stuff this offseason that I bought in really cheap early in the year when he was first on the DL, and he came back and people were buying his stuff up. So I did sell quite a bit of Jet Williams. But that's going to wrap up our top 10. As I mentioned before, you can find this entire list of top 150 Bowman Chrome Autos under $50 list on my Patreon page. There's a link in the video description. These are just 10 guys that I wanted to talk about, but there are lots of really cool options to buy on a budget over there as well. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my level 3 Patreon subscribers. You guys rock. I appreciate it. All the level 2 as well. You guys have a great day, and let me know who you're going to be chasing going into the 2025 season that starts on Friday.